Easy. It's like wearing it is the oldest hat of all the hats, you know. So I've been playing in this band for 23 years. Jim and I are OG members. Matt has been in the band for 18 years. Matt McClellan, the guitar player. You know, I know these guys. They know me, and you know, we've established our places within the band, as well as, you know, the way we write. And even though we brought Jerome into the fold and he had his voice as well, he still kind of understood how the rest of us kind of work, and he fell into that, and it just kind of all, you know, it all just gelled right there, and, you know, that's it. That's how it goes.
Hey, what's up, Vox and Hops heads? I'm Matt, the vocalist of Cryptopsy and the host of the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast, brought to you by Sound Talent Media and Evergreen Podcasts, where I sit down with fellow metal musicians, talk all about their lives and music while sharing a craft beer. I hope you had a killer weekend. I most certainly did. This Vox and Hops episode is presented by Heavy Montreal. Heavy Montreal are Montreal's premier metal promoter, and I'm very stoked to have them behind the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast. Now, for today's artist spotlight, I'm very stoked to be showcasing Stone Nomads. Stone Nomads have forged a sound blending colossal riffs, dynamic groove, and all that is heavy. Get ready, everyone. Here is their track, Fiery Sabbath. was sweet. That was Stone Nomad's Fiery Sabbath. The band is based in Houston, and they mix elements of southern sludge and doom metal on a stoned-out Sabbath trip. They just dropped Fiery Sabbath back on January 5th, 2023, and you should most definitely go check them out. I have put the link to their Bandcamp in the description of this podcast. Massive cheers to Stone Nomads for being a part of the Vox&Hops Artist Spotlight. Now, before we jump into today's episode, I'd just like to ask you to follow the Vox&Hops Metal Podcast on the podcast platform of your choice. But more than that, I would love for you to tell a friend about the podcast. If there's someone in your life that just loves extreme, avant-garde, interesting metal, well, you should definitely let them know that the Vox&Hops Metal Podcast exists. You could tell them that there are over 400 episodes where I sit down with some of the world's most interesting metal musicians. We talk all about their lives and music while sharing a craft beer. If you would encourage one of your avant-garde, music-loving friends to become a brand new Vox&Hops head, that would be something that I would truly appreciate. Now, today on the podcast, I'm very stoked to be back with Bruce Lamont of Yakuza. Get ready, everyone. This is Vox&Hops episode number 408.
I warn you, what you are about to hear is very disturbing indeed.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Today I'm very stoked to be back with Bruce Lamont of Yakuza and far too many other projects to mention. Bruce, it's good to be back with you. Last time we had a chat was back in 2020, episode 181. This one's coming out, after episode 400, so it's going to be 400 and whatever that's going to be. Bruce, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Matt. Good to see you again. So thanks for having me on.
Hell yeah, so stoked when you reached out to me, telling me that Yakuza is dropping a new record, Sutra. It's coming out May 19th on Svart Records. You were nice, very nice, very nice. And people that are listening to this will figure it out, but I'm not going to say it. Vox&Hops is all about hanging out with my metal friends, talking about their lives and music while sharing a craft beer. Now, what beer do you have on your side that we will be sharing virtually tonight?
Okay, the beer on my side is from a brewery called Hop Butcher. For the world. They actually just opened up a tap room here in Chicago, Illinois. Their
Nice.
brewery is out somewhere in the suburbs. I'm blanking on exactly where. I could look that up while we're talking. But anyway, so I was able to pick up a couple, 2, 3, 4 of these. It's one of my faves as far as the IPAs go. Not just this one in my hand, but just overall through most of the ones they have. A bunch of my beer drinking friends love it as well. So, here we are.
Yes, and I'm very, very stoked to also have that beer in my hand.
Where did that come from?
Yes, exactly. More Dirigible from Hop Butcher for the world. I've heard killer things about Hop Butcher. As right before we started recording this, I said I feel like I've had one maybe when I played Chicago last time. Devastation. Sure. No, sorry, Hell over North America with Aborted. I feel like a cool fan brought me out some craft beers in exchange for guest lists, which is a thing that happens when Cryptopsy's on tour. So I'm excited to taste this right now. This is a single IPA with Citra, Simcoe, and Eclipse. Let's do it. 6.5%. Let's crack it.
Cracking. And cheers.
Cheers.
Dude.
Ooh.
I'm going to go straight can.
Do it.
I like that glass. That's nice.
Gorgeous. Mad creamy. It seems like thick. A nice thick IPA. They seem to have figured something out with the body going on here in this beer. I could smell the hops from over here.
Yeah.
That Citra, Simcoe, and Eclipse is just radiating from it. Massive cheers to you for coming back, hanging out with me. Cheers.
Oosh. Cheers.
Look at that nose. It's so creamy. Smooth, pleasantly bitter, citrus, like radiating, melon a little bit. Very, very cool. How has 2023 been so far for you? It's been a busy year for most of us now that, everything is somewhat back to normal. How has 2023 been so far?
So far, so good. I have no complaints. I've been mostly gigging, so happy to report that. And, we're coming out of a pretty mild winter here in Chicago. Honestly, we could have had it much worse. And, springtime and summertime in Chicago, Illinois is a whole lot of fun. And, it's great outdoor beer drinking weather. Just saying. I mean, anywhere in the world has great outdoor beer drinking weather, even in the coldest of months up there in Montreal, Canada. I have definitely had a beer outside there for sure.
It's the thing to do. It's the thing to do.
Absolutely. So, but I also do love having those summertime beers, and so looking forward to I'm looking through the rest of see what else 2023 has to offer. So
Very
far so good.
Well, I'm happy that you're busy and you're gigging and you're back doing what you're supposed to be doing. Last time you were on a reset. You were drinking green tea when I had you on the podcast last time. How long did that reset last before you came back to the world of the hops?
Oh, it wasn't very long. It was maybe a 4 or 6 week little break, and it wasn't even really the beer that it was, what I was trying to take a break from is more of I love to indulge in the spirit sometimes as well, and when the older you get, sometimes you just take a little break. That's all, and that's what I chose to do. And I know it wasn't very convenient for our podcast. We want to talk about beer, but thank you for allowing me to come in and sip that green tea. And I'm really happy to be back and sipping some suds, as they say.
It's important. Well, if you're overindulging is not a good thing. And knowing your limits and setting boundaries is very important, and I respect that very much. But you also got to fit into the tight pants to do the Led Zeppelin 2 thing. So I'm not sure if that had something to play into it too.
Yeah, I mean, well, there wasn't so much that, but yes, you are correct. So for every one of these, these IPAs, which I know can be highly caloric and things like that, there is a green salad that is right behind it. So it's why you got to have the balance there. Otherwise, I can't fit in those pants. And daddy can't get out there and shake that money maker, so I don't have to go back to my regular bartending gig. So nothing against bartending, I love it, but I'd much rather put the wig and the tight pants on any day of the week. So
absolutely, it's so cool. Who better to be but the rock god himself? Come on,
that's right.
Since that last chat, we stayed in contact. You were a part of Vox&Hops' Brewtal North America, where I paired 22 bands with breweries from across North America, and we released beers together. You guys were teamed up with Dry City Brewing. Shout out to Mick, who has now since moved on to Miskatonic Brewing, which did a collab for Vox&Hops' 4th anniversary. Shout out to Mick, you rule. Talk to me about your experience with Brewtal North America. I do have to say, this is no shade on any of the other bands that were involved, but Yakuza gave us some of the coolest footage to the performance video that you guys did was so damn cool.
Thanks.
I was very stoked about that. So talk to me about your experience being a part of Brewtal North America.
Oh, it was great. Again, thanks for asking us. I mean, we are all pretty serious hopheads, we're big beer guys, especially Jim, who plays drums, and myself. So it was a real treat. And Mick he's a great brewer and a really, really good dude and a huge metal fan and music fan for that matter, and we had a great time. We were there for all of it. I mean, we were there, pitching hops and just all kinds, just going through the entire process. It was super fun. I probably talked about the last episode. I worked for Goose Island for about 10 years as a bartender at their original brew pub. So, I occasionally got to, run downstairs and see what the brewers were up to, just kind of checking in. They had a pretty big system for a brew pub, and the system they had over at Dry City was smaller, but yet they were really able to crank things out pretty quickly and produce some really awesome beers. So it was super fun. And again, thanks for asking us. We really appreciate it. And anytime you do it again, we're in for sure. So
cool. That makes me very happy to hear. And the beer, remind me of the beer. It was a red IPA.
It was a red IPA. Yes. Blood of Our Enemies was the name of it. So a red IPA. Yes. It was fun. That was an interesting. I've been around IPAs and beers for a lot of years, and I'd never seen maybe 1 or 2 different red IPAs, but those don't really come to mind. So that was something new for us, and for me too, as a longtime beer drinker. So it was cool.
Very cool. I really thought it was creative and cool, and it obviously fits Yakuza because you guys are out there. As everyone says, whenever there's a description of Yakuza, there's the avant-garde term gets thrown around.
Avant-garde.
Definitely gets thrown around there a lot.
Yeah, we've heard it once or twice. That's cool. I mean,
you guys took last time we spoke. You were talking about making a new record, so this is it. It's here now.
Yep.
it took all that time, and I understand that because Cryptopsy takes a damn long time to do stuff as well. The pandemic didn't help that, but that's no reason really. So Sutra is coming up May 19th, Zvart Records. Talk to us about everything that went into this. You guys were crawling into the room together back when the pandemic was still hot and happening, because you had to, because you felt like you needed that creative release. So talk to me about everything that went into creating this new record.
It is 11 and a half years in the making. So last time we did a record that was released in 2012, you know, I would say we were maybe kicking the tires there for a couple of years, and then around 2017, we kind of got the ball rolling again as far as just powering up the Yakuza machine. And while we did that, realized that Ivan Cruz, our bass player, lovely human being, he, you know, wasn't into going along for the ride anymore. So we, you know, kind of left with a new challenge, and it didn't take very long until Jerome Marshall, who's been a longtime friend of ours, you know, actually walked up to me at a beer festival of all things and said, "So, hey, heard I'm your new bass player." And we kind of like that cocky confidence in somebody. I was like, "Oh yeah, cool, all right." And text the other two, and I was like, "Hey, look at this, Jerome Marshall." And boom, he was in the practice space a week later. He already knew a half dozen of our songs. Bam, bam, and that's where it kind of started. You know, especially with this, we kind of cleared away any like ideas that were already on the table. We brought Jerome in and let him kind of like, you know, get his throw his 2 cents in as well. Yeah, we respect him as a musician as much as a friend, and we, you know, he's an equal, you know, to all of us. So yeah, so over the next, I would say 5 years, you know, from later 2017 until 2021 when we actually recorded the record, you know, we worked on this stuff, you know, night and day, and including during the pandemic. That was the one band out of all the bands I have that we decided that, you know, from day one that we're going to bubble up and keep working because we were too close at that point. So, and we had nothing else to do. So, you know, besides work on like trinkets in our basements and things like that. So at least we can stick to working on the music. So yeah, and that was it. So it was recorded in July of 2021, and, you know, the process of getting things out, you know, and art and all that stuff and vinyl delays and everything else. And here we are finally, May 19th.
Damn, that's exciting. That's exciting. 11 years and a half, taking a break for that long. You're so busy in so many projects, so many hats, so many basically musical identities. How easy was it for you to step back into that Yakuza musical identity, lyrically and vibe-wise?
Easy. It's like it is the oldest hat of all the hats, you know. So I've been playing in this band for 23 years. Jim and I are OG members. Matt has been in the band for 18 years. Matt McClellan, the guitar player. You know, I know these guys. They know me, and you know, we've established our places within the band, as well as, you know, the way we write. And even though we brought Jerome into the fold and he had his voice as well, he still kind of understood how the rest of us kind of work, and he fell into that, and it just kind of all, you know, it all just gelled right there. And, you know, that's it. That's how it you know, that's how it goes. So
lyrically, where did you come at from this one? I typically work as a concept is something that really motivates myself and fuels the lyrics that go into a Cryptopsy record. How do you approach creating the lyrics and the atmosphere? The concept of the album art is really interesting. I still don't quite understand what it is, but I like it.
Cool. I can get into that first, and I'll talk about the lyric themes. The art is actually a longtime friend of ours, a lady named Sonia, and she takes basically like found wood scraps, anything natural. There's some grains of there's some wheat grain and stuff. Yeah, and she'll create like these like kind of kaleidoscope like psychedelic images from that,
Perfect.
you know. However, yeah, and you know, it is like digitally manipulated, but it is all things from the earth. So that kind of works for us because we, you know, we're not, you know, we don't run around declaring that we're earth worshipers, but we definitely have a mad respect for it. You know what I'm saying? So it works. It works. The aesthetic works well for us. Lyrically, I try to keep things somewhat like ambiguous and sort of like I hope people can like kind of get their own, you know, can interpret things, you know, their own way through the words and things like that. But occasionally there is like a theme. There's a song called Alice on the record, which actually was the one song that we, you know, when you're working on new riffs, you might just like have like a tentative title for things or whatever.
Oh yeah,
So all the time. So we had a whole list of those, and that was the one song that title stuck. And the reason why it was called Alice was Matt, our guitar player, thought the second riff of the song, it reminded him of an old Alice, like what Alice in Chains might have written.
Oh, interesting.
And I took it a different way. I heard it as maybe I could do something with like the Alice in Wonderland story, but I know it's been done a million times, but you know, in my own way. So I did, and I kind of like just, you know, again, kind of keeping it loose, but it's pretty obvious that I'm borrowing from that. You know, I talk about, you know, Mad Cards and Mad Hatters and things like that. But yeah, so that was a theme that, you know, I try to kind of focus on, and that was a fun one. The rest of them, like, I can't think of anything that really comes to mind. It's like, oh yeah, it's about this or it's this. You know, just like I said, try to keep it open and let people just kind of, you know, interpret it in their own way. But
That's
not
super
Alice.
interesting. I'm very partial to Alice, of course,
Yeah.
being my daughter's name.
Oh, nice.
And
that was the other part we wrote for her as well, too. Just let her know. So
I was on tour with Cannibal Corpse. My wife was pregnant. My daughter was supposed to be named something else. And I went to a bookstore and I picked up a Salvador Dali illustrated Alice in Wonderland, which is super fucking cool.
Sweet.
And I brought it home, gave it to my wife as a present for her birthday, I think it was. And as we're reading that and she's pregnant together in bed before going to sleep at night, we were like, I think we have to call her Alice. I think she's an Alice, and it's stuck. So other songs that don't have concepts, how do you go about creating lyrics? Is it just like free flow thought processes that fall onto the page, words that seem to fit, stuff like that? How do you come up with these things?
All of the above, yes. And especially I kind of like wordplay, like words that might have double meaning. Sometimes I might use things like that, or maybe two words that like may rhyme with each other but make no sense, like working together, like that kind of stuff. But it might create some sort of mental imagery, like, you know, that's weird and okay, and you know, we're weird. I mean, duh. So yeah, I think about all those kinds of things. Yeah, I'm constantly just jotting things down, and then, you know, I might find some things on one page that I've jotted things down that might make sense with some other things, and all of a sudden I'll bring them together and be like, oh, there's almost like somewhat of a narrative here. Cool. And just kind of go with that. And again, it's got to work rhythmically. It's got to work phonetically, you know, as a vocalist, of course, all these things there's all these things that, you know, need to work. I mean, there's a reason why a lot of vocalists rely on particular words for a variety of reasons, you know, like just if you're looking for that short syllable word or whatever, you know what I'm saying, or something that like goes dun dun dun, you know. Again, all these words are escaping me right this second because I put on the spot of this interview. I'm just kidding. But you know what I mean? Like, you know, that's the thing is like, I mean, there's a million reasons for those things too. Or, you know, I don't even know where the hell I'm going now with this whole thing. Words, man, they're hard to think about. Especially
it's important as a singer. It becomes like, it's sort of interesting. And I don't know if it's this way for you, but a band is very, very vocal about song structure and stuff like that. But when it comes to the lyrics, they tend to just sort of expect us to do it.
Right. What the fuck is up with that? You know, I mean, back in the day, some bigger bands would have a lyricist, like, you know, poetically throw these things out to them, and then it would just be our job to like make, you know, sing those words. Yeah. Where are those people at? Where are those people that write this shit? I'm just kidding. But yeah,
they're making real money somewhere.
Yeah, right, exactly. But yeah, it generally does get thrown at the singer for some reason or another. Yeah, right.
But song structures, everyone fights over that. But
right, exactly. Then it comes down. It's like, oh, that's your department.
The song's finished, but I think we should change everything.
Right, exactly.
I had this idea while I was falling asleep.
Exactly.
Something that, once again, avant-garde. There's definitely people that did it before, but you were probably the most well-known saxophonist in metal. Sax is now really sexy in metal, and I'm sure you're aware of this. Bands like Rivers of Nile, White Ward are using sax more and more in metal. What is your take on the modern love of sax and metal?
Where you been? Where y'all been? No, I'm just kidding. No, it's great. It's great. I love it. And I've actually jammed with the Rivers of Nihil guys before. Like one of the first times they came through Chicago. They're really real sweet, and they have a really good sense of like they're very open to a lot of different styles of music, and they want to incorporate that in their own stuff. Which that to me that's encouraging. So if the sax is somehow if that's like the marker or whatever for people this is going in a direction where people are actually opening their minds to trying new ideas and bringing, especially in metal, like fuck yeah, that's awesome. I hope that's the case, and I hope more metal bands, are open to doing weird and wild stuff, saxophone or not. I mean, whatever they're into, I don't care.
Why is it the sax? Why is it always the sax, you think, versus other horns or something, let's say? Well, what is it about the sax that lends itself so well to metal?
It's made of metal. Or kind of. No, I'm kidding. It is a woodwind instrument, but actually most of it's brass. But anywho, I don't know, man. I don't know. I always thought of it as like a war. I mean, when I first started using it, I'm like, it's like a war horn, man. Like, that's what I wanted to create. There's a wide range of possibilities with the horn, especially if you run some effects and things. You can do a lot of stuff with that, I think. I mean, it's got some crazy shrieks and shrills if you know how to do that kind of stuff, and the low end can really can be a lot more low endy than people would expect. They're like, oh, this silly little saxophone. You're like, oh yeah, watch this. They're like, holy shit, what? Like, So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I keep thinking like, I mean, there's like prog rock bands from the 70s that had all sorts of different instrumentation, and I'm like, I mean, I love when Peter Gabriel played flute in Genesis. I thought that was badass. I don't know if flute would cut through on some like pretty brutal metal stuff, but maybe. I mean, in a studio sense, and you add a ton of like long reverbs and stuff on it, it could sound really haunting and kind of badass. So maybe that'll make its way into things. I did play clarinet on a couple of records here and there on the Yakuza over the years. It works well in the studio. It does not work well on stage. It just doesn't have enough. You can't put enough wind through it to like really make it sing over
even mics. Even mics.
Yeah. Nah, it doesn't work. Yeah, not well enough, unfortunately. So I'm sure someone will be watching this or listening to it and be like, oh bullshit, I can do that. Like good. I challenge you.
The electronic flute is coming now. The electronic flute.
Exactly. Yes, or electronic clarinets or whatever you got there. There was a thing called the EWI, which is like the MIDI version of a saxophone. Okay. Like I think it was more popular in the 80s.
Everything was electronic in the 80s.
Totally, dude. I mean, we had guitars back then. I mean, the kids are trying to bring those back these days.
They're still pretty cool. I think they're still pretty.
I beg to differ slightly, but that's okay. I'm just.
I want to see someone do like a guitar swing, but of a keytar.
Yeah, I want to see you do it. I want to see you playing guitar in Cryptopsy. That'd be fucking amazing. Well, talk about making the leap. That would be a huge one. I'd be like, well, I know I have one fan out there. Bruce Lamont loves this kind of shit.
It's avant-garde, but
yeah, avant-garde.
There was definitely like French horns in black metal. I for sure there. But I don't see the bugle ever coming in. I don't know. I don't know.
the bugle. That's funny. When I was in my 20s, I lived in like a high-rise apartment. I'll never forget. I lived like next to this really, really sweet, very, very old lady. And I was rehearsing my sax one day, and she knocked on the door, and she's like, what you got in there? You playing the bugle? And I was like, no, I'm playing the saxophone. Oh, I thought that was the bugle. I'm like, yeah, they kind of sound the same, I guess. You know, I could have been worse. I could have been like, what's a bugle?
Amazing. Something that's crazy about you, and we spoke about it a little bit last time, but the multitude of hats and creativity and constantly being inspired. Where does the energy still come from?
Beer. No, I'm kidding. It's a lifestyle choice I made a long time ago. You know, I mean, music's always been the thing for me, you know, and just whatever I can do and to be a part of it in one way or another. I mean, the jobs I do in Chicago, and I either bartend at a venue or I work a festival, and you know, I'm on that end of things, you know, and I'm happy to be on that end of things, or performing, you know, or just helping making whatever show happen. Like the show must go on, and doesn't just include like you or I being on stage, you know, having our fun. There's a whole lot of other people that are involved in that too. And sometimes I wear that hat and totally great with it because somebody's got to be there, or one of many have to be there to make that shit, you know, fly. And
on like the production side, is that what you mean? Like or setting up?
Yes. Yeah, totally. All that stuff. I mean, there's production stuff. There's also like, I mean, most of I'm more in hospitality kind of stuff. I mean, obviously with the beer life and the bartending and things like that. So generally, I help with that end of things. But that's festival stuff that generates income, so they're able to have these events, pay the bands, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm simplifying it all, but you know, that's what I've been doing for forever, you know, and I'm cool with that, working on that end, or like I said, being on stage. Either way, it's fine. Or I've roadied for Dave Whitty a couple times in my life, you know, so, you know, and I'm not even
himself. Yes.
Yes, I'm not even a drummer, and you know, but he knows he can trust me, and I won't leave anything on stage, and he'll always get handed a beer at the end of his set, you know, at least one, if not four. No, I would roadie for anybody, but he's my dude.
Shout out to Dave Whitty. He's the beer king himself. I'm challenging him.
That's right.
But I'm not anywhere near approaching that goal as of yet. He's really the best. So nice.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So nice. So humble. Killer drummer. Killer drummer. Yeah.
Yes, one of the best.
Absolutely.
Actually, I was gonna say I got into a room with him last November for the first time in about 5 years to you know, kick the dust off the tires of Brain Tentacles.
Yes.
And it only took 15 minutes for us to start writing songs, and then Amazing. 2.5 hours later we had a shit ton of stuff. And that wasn't even with Aaron Dawson. That was just me and Dave.
Wow.
You know, just tossing stuff back and forth. And talk about a guy that's busy. That dude, he's I literally texted him last night. He's in Spain right now. He'll be home maybe in a week or so. We'll chat again. But he's all over the place. We're gonna make this Brain Tentacles thing happen in the next 3 years.
that was
12 months.
That was my next question. Was obviously there's new Brain Tentacle stuff coming up. So fans of that would think that I missed a chance of talking about that. So talk to us about this new stuff. You had a chance to jam just with Dave. You're missing a key member as well. What's coming up there? How can you create something new while staying in the vibe of what Brain Tentacles is?
Just getting in a room with Dave is all it took. You know, I mean, we just kind of, you know, we literally just kind of feed off each other and just, you know, throw ideas back and forth. He had sent me a bunch of like rhythms that he had over the past like 6-7 months, and I had a couple of ideas like melodically kind of tossed his way too. But now that we were in the room together, we were able to like literally just like volley back and forth, and you know, we do that for about 45 minutes, and then his practice space is only about a 5-minute walk from a couple of different breweries that we haunt, a couple of his haunts in Richmond, Virginia. So, you know, we got to go have a beer for inspiration, maybe two. and then we'll come back and work on some more. And then, you know, he'll text his partner April. Yeah, we're gonna work for another hour. We'll meet you at this place, another brewery, and we'll go there. And maybe we may or may not come back again, or maybe we will just stay there and have 3, 4, 5 pints, and you know, and maybe we'll just get inspired. I've actually, funny thing, I've actually like hummed stuff to him in my phone while we were like walking together, and I was just jokingly, I'll text it to him. He'd be like, "What is this?" I'm like, "This is what we're gonna try at the practice space later today." He's like, "Oh, okay," you know, like that's just him and I. But yeah, definitely, a lot of beer inspires our work. You know,
I like how you're so varied in everything that you do. As you're creating stuff and the ideas come to you, do you immediately know which projects it's meant for?
no,
And so that must be, is it like what your brain is like? Let's say you're working in that circumstance right there. The ideas that come to you go to that project. Is that basically
correct.
how you approach it?
I was about to say live in the moment kind of a situation where like Dave and I are in the room. I'm not thinking about Yakuza or anything else. I'm thinking about us and what we do, and just kind of like keep the focus on that. And same with Yakuza. I mean, that's when I'd be in that space. I wasn't thinking about, oh, this maybe this little ditty I just wrote for this. Maybe I can, you know, use the tail end of this for a Brain Tentacles thing. It doesn't really work like that. They're different kind of projects and
Totally.
different people. So yeah, it's more of like an in the moment kind of thing, you know.
Something that's really, really important for me is talking about mental health. Sometimes we don't feel good, and I might like to showcase that and say that it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to approach these harsh subjects and harsh emotions. And I like to ask my guests what they do when they are in a dark moment. What is a tactic that you've built for yourself that you could share with the Vox and Hops heads that are listening right now?
I thank you for bringing this up. It is something that I think about a lot, not about myself so much, but there are a lot of people out there that struggle, and yes, they need to know that it's okay. We're all humans. We're all human, and we all have a variety of emotions that, you know, we deal with on give it every 5 minutes of the day. You know, I do a lot of meditative breathing kind of stuff. I mean, in the morning and the evening, but also throughout the day. A calming like breath exercises like the 4-7-8, where you take, you know, 4 seconds, you breathe in through your nose, you hold it for 7, and then you slowly exhale through your mouth for 8.
Okay, cool.
You do that 4 to 6 times in one sitting. It tends to work. You know, I mean, if you're a little elevated, it might not work right away, but if you just kind of keep at it, you know, those are some things I try to do. You know, if not feeling like in the right headspace, I may say I'm gonna take some time off of, you know, drinking and anything that would kind of like send you, I don't want to say send you, but like just anything that might just like add to your mental state, or any kind of issues you're having with that. I mean, maybe caffeine might be causing anxiety for you, so maybe pull, you know, back off that. Those kinds of things. Yeah, but I do think about it a lot. Not, you know, not dwell on it, but, you know, I mean, it's okay not to be okay.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, for sure. So, and sometimes a really good throwdown fucking, you know, thrash metal show with a real gnarly pit, but that helps sometimes too. I'm not saying you gotta like take your anger on anybody, but just have a release. Yeah. I was gonna say definitely a release. Just have some fun, you know. That helps too sometimes. So, you know,
the breathing is interesting because it really, if you purposefully take a moment to stop and to just focus on breathing, it really allows your brain to sort of like reset.
Yeah,
it's super interesting. No one has mentioned that to me as of yet. I don't meditate, but I understand the benefits of it. With a busy brain such as mine, with everything that I have going on, it's a very interesting tactic to like force your brain to only focus on breathing. Which is something that we just do naturally on its own, right? On our own.
Yeah, totally. And I would say, like, you know, sometimes people get turned off the idea of like actually like, oh, I'm gonna go sit and meditate now. Like maybe that's not maybe that's not the thing for you. Maybe like I say, I take these breaths I'm talking about like while I'm driving the car. I'm not closing my eyes. I'm just doing this, but well, sometimes I am just for fun, but that's a whole other part of the story we'll get to later. But no, all joking aside, yes, those just just breaths in the car or by yourself, anywhere you want me. I mean, I could be on the train, you're just sitting quietly. Maybe you pop your headphones in. There's not any music happening, or there's some soft music playing, and you do these kinds of things. You can just do it wherever. I mean, I don't know. I picked that up from I did take the transcendental meditation courses back in 2019, and some of the things I got from that was they expressed in these I hate calling them classes. I want to call them workshop, whatever. The one thing I picked up was that you could do this anywhere. Oh, you can meditate anywhere. You can literally just close your eyes and be on the bus or wherever. And I thought, oh, that's a nice idea. So yeah, I just kind of took that idea and just like did it with the other breathing stuff as well too. I mean, they're all similar. They're all based on breathing. It's all based on like focusing on one very basic concept like breathing, and that's it. You're not thinking about the million of other things that go on throughout your day and in your own brain and whatever. So I don't know, simplifies things at least for the moment. Speaking of,
yeah, exactly. We're right on the same. Yeah. We're going to switch gears.
Part two.
Take it up a notch.
Yes. All sides are green. This is where the interview gets real interesting. No, I'm just kidding.
That's right. This is a double India Pale Ale, Nelson Sauvin, Simcoe, Riwaka. So the New Zealand hops coming in hard here. Although
yep.
I don't know if Simcoe is, but I know the first two are. I'm assuming it is since they paired them together.
Sure.
As we pour out our beers.
Nice.
Gorgeous again, same color, same sort of thickish body. The nose is super different though. Super different nose on this.
Big time.
Very interesting. I still have some of this one too. This one's the Citra's farty as hell. It's cat piss fart Citra. This is like way more like bubblegum. Like melon bubblegum.
Yep.
Interesting. Cheers.
Yeah. Cheers to you.
8.5%, if I remember correctly. That's correct. Yeah, 8. See, the booze kicks a little bit more of a booze bite on it, but still super creamy, smooth, melony. Very, very, very cool. I'm doing this whole new segment called Fight the Hops, where I ask my guests a small goal that they're working on, something that they hope to achieve over the next month or so, 2 months. Could be business orientated, could be personal, could be fitness, life goals, whatever. What are you doing right now to fight the hops?
Well, it's a lot of stuff. Always doing music things. One thing I'm actually excited about. He's my BFF, and he also happens to engineer almost every record that I play on. His name is Sanford Parker, and he and I have played in bands together. We actually had a band together, which it's an open-ended project, so it never ended. It's called Circle of Animals. We did a record that relapsed a long time ago, and we have talked about reviving that, but we're taking it into a new direction. So that's something that in the next month or so, we will get down in the studio and start messing around. So. He's been scoring some soundtrack, movie soundtrack stuff. Yeah. And I played on a couple of them, and we kind of want to take it to another level. And that's kind of like the theme for our project is kind of writing more like cinematic style music together, either for film or just for a record. Either way, it doesn't really matter. But there you go. That's the thing I'm gonna focus on in the next month.
That's very cool. And when you step into the studio with Parker, is it do you have stuff laid down? Because the way you mentioned it was like you just go into the studio and just create stuff.
For the stuff we did for the soundtrack stuff, he just called me in and was like, "Hey, I have a couple ideas. Bring a couple horns. we'll run through this. For that, I just went in kind of blind, and whatever he asked, I just kind of played it. This time he has some solo music that he's been kind of sitting on for a while, and so have I. And we're just going to kind of like see how they work together and start there, and then we'll kind of let that dictate our path.
Amazing. Yeah. So movie soundtracks, and this is something interesting because I just did a post-rock episode with a dude from EF, and I was saying that post-rock, a lot of the big post-rock bands don't release new albums anymore because they're getting hired to do these soundtracks. And why would you put all this effort and time into creating an album to go tour it when you can just sell it as a soundtrack and get paid big ass money? So is this basically an aspiration of what might happen with Circle of Animals?
Maybe.
You got the Led Zeppelin 2 gig keeping you happy and fed at home, and then you can start just pumping out soundtracks.
Trying. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we'll see where it takes us. I don't think too far ahead about it. So, but yeah, I mean,
what genre of music of movies? Because what I did see on your socials was a horror movie that you guys did together.
That was The Inhabitant. Yeah. That's right. And then there's another one coming out. Actually, I think he did 3, and 2 of them are horror films. I think I'm on both of the horror films. And then the third one, I don't really know. As far as for Circle of Animals, like what we're gonna write towards. I mean, we're just dark people, so we're gonna end up, that music's gonna be dark in one way or another. Now the instrumentation, but dark and weird though, so that will have a little weirdness to it, But yeah, I would assume it's more for like a thriller, maybe not so much like a gory horror film, but you never know. So, but yes, I didn't think we'd be. I mean, if someone wants to hire us for a love story, I'm not opposed. I'm up for the challenge, So.
You think that sax would work with that?
You would think. Maybe not the way I play it, but
not when Bruce is playing.
As my wife's just looking at me through the door right now, smiling. Like I'm like, But little do you know what I do when I walk around the house and I play for her. Only her though.
Gets her in the mood. Something that you did do over the past summer or fall months was play with and tour basically with a massive pop act, Dry Clean.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that, about wearing that hat, being the avant-garde sax player that steps out on tour with a massive pop, just huge. So talk to me about doing that and playing different. Well, obviously you do Led Zeppelin too, so you can turn it on, like different personas basically. But this is different.
There's a little backstory. I'll give it really quick. They came to Chicago to play their first shows, and they're playing a place called Empty Bottle, which I've worked at for a number of years, and I got hired to actually drive them for a couple days, and we just really hit it off.
You do it all.
I mean, this is also coming out of the pandemic. I didn't take any gig I could get my hands on, but I'm actually happy to do that. I love driving bands. So we got to know each other. We were friends, and as I said, I mentioned before, but Tom, the guitar player, is a closet kind of metalhead, and he kind of trolled through my Instagram page and was like, "Whoa, you play with so and so? Oh, whoa, you're in that? Whoa, and was like, "Hey, would you ever consider playing sax with us?" And I had never heard of them before driving them, and then I saw them play, and I was like, "Oh, I like this band a lot. Like, they have really good pop sensibilities." Everyone in the band just kills at what they do, and anyway, they were coming back to Chicago playing this festival called Pitchfork Music Festival, which I also work at, and I said, and they're like, "Would you sit in with us?" And I said, "Yeah." So I sat in just for a song, and it went over great, and the band loved it, and they were like, "Dude, anytime you come to Chicago, we'd love to have you sit in." I'm like, "Okay, great." And they were coming to Chicago the same night I had to be playing with Led Zeppelin 2, and I obviously I couldn't sit in with them, but I was like, "Man, you name the place and I'll show up and I'll play there." Like, "Dude, you show up anywhere on tour, we will totally have you." So I took that for what it was, and I looked at their schedule and I was like, I could do Philly and New York because I had some points. I could fly out there, not bother them with anything. And I asked them, they're like, "Fuck yeah." And show up in Philly and, played a couple songs and they liked it. And the next night they're like, will you play a couple more songs? I was like, sure. So I ended up, they said, boy, if you're on this whole tour, you'd have played the whole set with us. And I was like, all right. But anyway, all that aside, their music was really easy to just jam on, with them. And it was really fun. And they're really open to weird and wild things. So that's how we bonded. So
very cool. I think that's awesome.
They're great. I can't say enough about them. So not only are they some of the most wonderful people I've ever met in my life in a band, and like you said, they're getting huge. I mean, we're in Brooklyn. It was a sold out show. It was like 1,500 people. It was like we were like going ape shit for them, and I was thrilled because they really they just have really good hearts, and they really don't let it go to their heads or none of that shit. It doesn't even come into their world. They're just grateful for everything that they do, and they're young. And I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, get out there and kill it. That's awesome. So there you go.
I love it. You've played with so many people, collaborated with so many people. Is there a bucket list artist that you haven't had the chance to jam with, to hang out with, to collaborate with?
I don't know. Most of the people I would have loved to maybe played with have passed on from this world, unfortunately. But I just keep going back to for a lot of years in early Yakuza, I always I used to not only dream, but I used to dedicate a song to Napalm Death every night. And sure enough, 2019, I get the call and I play with them at Metro in Chicago. And then I get the call again and I play with them again. But now every time they come to Chicago, I sit in with them and they rule as humans and so cool. They're the best, they're fucking awesome. So yeah, that was a big one on the bucket list, and then hit the bucket list a couple of times. I was like, well, shit, I don't know if it gets any better than this, but that's pretty damn good. So I'll take it. So, I'm sure there's one that's just not coming to mind right now, but man, I wish I could think of something, anything. I mean, fuck, if Metallica wanted me to get up and play with them, I'll do it. I don't give a shit. I'm not really on my bucket list, but I'll take it. Free of charge, no problem.
No, come on. Yeah, that would be very sick. Who wouldn't?
Right, exactly.
Now we made Blood of Our Enemies together. If you could make another beer right now, let's say I hit you up and I say, we're doing a collab, Brewtal North America, part 2 is coming up. What beer would you make for Yakuza?
Okay, can I give it another shout out to another brewery really quick? So that beer was Matt McClellan, our guitar player's idea. He didn't want to make a run-of-the-mill IPA. I guess I'm fans of run-of-the-mill IPAs. So Wake Brewing is making, it should be ready just about right now. They're doing a hazy IPA that I helped help them put together. They did all the legwork. I just threw a couple of things out to them. So I was going to say that we decided that every beer that we do as a band, each of us gets to dictate what the style is. So
very cool.
I have a feeling the next beer will be Jim, and I think he's going to deviate from the IPAs, and we probably might go into the stout world, something fun. I don't know, but yes, we'll go to the dark side of the beers, and if something, I don't know, I want to say like a cherry stout, but a hint of cherry, nothing crazy. Maybe aged in some bourbon barrels. I did work for Goose on for a long time, so I got the Bourbon County Stout. I used to steal growlers of it back in the 90s for my dad and I think I'm cool now. I can say that I did. I didn't steal it. I paid for it. I just wasn't supposed to fill up growlers full of that stuff. But anywho, yeah. So I think we might go stout. That's the next one. So if you're asking, there you go.
Very cool. I like it. Last time we wrapped up with my classic wrap-up question. I wonder if your answer is still the same. you mentioned that a Jeppson's Malort, a shot of that is your perfect hangover cure. Has your hangover cure evolved since 2020? Let's wrap up with that.
Sure. I gave up the Jepson Malort thing about a year ago, and it is no longer a hangover cure for me, or a shot of choice for that matter. So, I haven't been drinking to the point of like waking up with like a serious hangover lately. But if I did, I would probably have a beer. There you go. How about that? And honestly, I mean, I just like a cold IPA. There's actually a company, Son of Juice, Maplewood. It's a Chicago beer. I love that beer. And even when I had COVID for the first time, like a while back, I couldn't eat for like 24 hours. But the only thing I wanted was one cold beer. And so I hit the wife. I'm like, I just have a craving for a cold beer. And she's like, have it. I'm like, okay. Had the beer and I felt that much better. Actually, I felt that much better.
Simple pleasures.
Yeah, simple pleasures. So yeah, I'd probably go for a beer. That'd be the hangover cure.
Amazing, Bruce. Thank you so much for coming back, having a chat with me about your life, music, craft beer. Very stoked about the new Yakuza Sutra coming out May 19th. Smart Records. Everyone gets stoked. Yakuza's back, and they're avant-garde. Come on, cheers.
Avant-garde. Cheers, Matt. Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Hey, thank you all so much for listening right today. You know that I love and appreciate that. Man, do I love Bruce Lamont. Such a cool guy, just so goddamn interesting, just so creative. I love speaking to people in multiple projects. I love speaking to creative individuals that just have a multitude of musical identities. I just find that super interesting and inspiring. Massive cheers to Bruce for being awesome, for hooking me up with some stuff, for hanging out with me again. I am very much looking forward to finally meeting you face to face, hopefully soon. Bruce, you rule. Everyone go check out that brand new Yakuza record. It's coming out this Friday. Now, if you enjoyed this Vox and Hops episode, you should sign up to the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast mailing list. You could do that on my website, voxandhops.com. That's VOXANDHOPS.com. When you do that, you shall receive one email a week that contains all of the details of everything that has happened recently in the world of the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast. You will see which episodes I dropped recently. You will get to see which episodes I have coming up. You will also get to hear about any projects I have in the works before I announce them to the public, such as my massive global beer collab project, Pit Culture. You will get to find out which collabs are dropping next, and you'll also get to see which albums the Vox and Hops album review crew have reviewed recently, and you will get to see which albums Jerry Monk, Vox and Hops' metal architect, has added to the Brewtal Awakenings playlist. There's always a lot of stuff going on in the world of the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast, and I hate when you miss a single thing, so please do me a favor and sign up to the mailing list. The Vox and Hops Metal Podcast is brought to you by Sound Talent Media and Evergreen Podcasts. I hope you have a killer rest of the week. I have one more episode coming up this Friday, all about Yakima Chief Hops presents Vox and Hops Haze Wars. But until then, remember to enjoy life, metal, and craft beer. Cheers, Vox and Hops heads.